That's strangely close to Daniel Jones from the Giants. Daniel, is that you? Beat the Chiefs. Show me. If the Broncos and Russell Wilson can show me that they can beat the Chiefs, then I will start believing.
And the crowd up. And so are this defense, and Kansas City won't snap the ball again. The Denver Broncos have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
Dave Montgomery on the Lions, former Bear, gonna make this his revenge game for sure. David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game. No! And there's a flag. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. Snap. Hold. Kick.
Denver wins! Denver wins! Let's go!
They open. No!
What happened? Ah, shit.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the only football podcast. Tonight, we're going to be continuing our conversation from Tuesday's live stream about the best free agents every team has signed so far. We're also going to be talking a little bit about some rule changes that are happening, maybe going into possible landing spots for Aaron Rodgers. And if Kyle can join me, because he is not here yet, he will be here soon, possibly. We're going to end it off with the Chives with Kyle. Let's get it. America is football.
America is football. Football is America. If you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass.
For the moment in time, I don't give a damn.
Oh
my God.
No!
You loved it.
It's 30 to 27. Chiefs win. Chiefs win 30 to 20. What is up, everybody? Cheers. Cheers to you all. Welcome back to the only football podcast. Kyle will hopefully be joining me here soon. But if he cannot, it is because he's got some work stuff. He's also moving right now. So he's got some stuff going on. And I am going to be taking over here for a sec before he gets here, hopefully. So if you guys are with us here last episode, which was on Tuesday night, Kyle and I were going over some of the best free agency signings that teams have made thus far. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to hopefully get Kyle in here. If he doesn't get here in the next few minutes or so, we're going to be doing, I'll get to that myself, but we're going to be talking a little bit. If you guys saw the intro, we're going to be talking about some possible NFL rule changes, which the big one, there's a couple ones actually. There's the kickoff, the NFL kickoff, which has been like a topic of conversation over the last few years, right? Like it's always been about the safety of players. That's why they stopped allowing the wedge on kickoffs. If you guys remember a few years ago, I forget exactly how long it was, but I remember watching like a Bears game and they would always, like the last 3-4 guys would always create a wedge, for the kickoff returner. They banned that because they said that was unsafe. Okay, cool. They did that. Then they limited they moved the kickoff up a few yards. I think it was like at the 40. Was it the 35 or was it the 30? They moved it up 5 yards. Regardless, they continued to mess with the kickoff rule, the formations, where you were going to kick off, so on and so forth. And recently, last year specifically, what they did was they pretty much did what the XFL was doing or the USFL, one of those leagues that no longer really exists or is barely watched. They pretty much did what they were doing. And that is You kick off from the same spot. The only difference is the kicking team's players are 5 yards away from the return team's blockers. There's still 2 receivers or 2 kickoff returners in the backfield, but what they did was you kick it off, and not until the returner actually catches the ball can they start to move. The defenders and the protectors, the kickoff team, and then the receiving team's players could they move only once the returner got the ball. And that was only a 1-year plan. Now, I think I missed that part last season because I read about it not so long ago, within the last day or two. And I was like, wait, that was a 1-year thing. And if I don't remember that being like a 1-year thing. And we got Nick in the chat. He said, breaking news, Bears trading for quarterback Joe Flacco. Nick, you don't want to see the Bears win. And I get that. But you just want them to be the worst version of themselves. Nick's always saying Russ is going to be the Bears offensive coordinator, all that shit. And here I was rooting on the Broncos for you, Nick, for you and Kyle, of course. If the Bears pick up Joe Flacco, that'd be really funny. It makes for better Rick content. I mean, there are no lies detected there, dude. Like, I kind of wish like Kyle and I had started this channel like years ago, back when I had Trubisky, and then we moved on to Nick Foles, and then we had Andy Dalton, and then it was Justin Fields, because it would have been, it would have been just off the handle, Rick, like with just the shitty quarterback play that I was used to there. But I digress. All right. So back to the kickoff. The dynamic kickoff was approved last year. The rule was approved on a 1-year trial basis, but this year the competition committee is proposing to make the rule permanent. So let's talk about what would be the I guess kind of the changes to that. Under last year's rule, the touchback was at the 30-yard line, but with this proposal, the touchback would be moved to the 35-yard line. The idea here is that it would discourage the kicking team from simply booting the ball out of the end zone on a kickoff, knowing that the return team will automatically get the ball at the 35-yard line. Getting the ball at the 35 is huge because that means the team would need to gain just 20 to 25 yards to get in a field goal range. The league's internal data shows a 65 to 75% return rate if the touchback is moved to the 35, more than double the rate in the 2024 season. That's that. So 65 to 75%. If you were to do a touchback under this new proposed kickoff rule, the return team is getting it at the 35 now. It's not even the 30 anymore. It is the 35. So that is huge. And I think if you ask any team with a kicker who can boot the ball 60 yards, Dallas, the Lions, I think the Chiefs with Butker, yeah, they'll be like, yeah, we're approving this 100%. Kickoff rule, touchback is automatically at the 35. Yeah, let's go, because if you got a kicker of that caliber, you're getting an automatic 3 points. So if I was one of those teams, I'm going fuck yes on that rule. And because of the return, the percentage that it's more likely going to be a return, you now have to get a better, I guess, kick returner too, because just like the Bears, they signed Duvernay from the Ravens. He's been one of the better returners in the NFL, whether it's punt, kickoff, whatever. It brings back the dynamics of that kickoff. If you're going to boot the ball out of bounds, then you've got to have a lot of trust in your defense that they're not going to let the other team gain 20 yards. If you kick it within the 5, within the 10-yard line, okay, now you can expect the return, and hopefully with your guys, getting there in time to reduce the percentage of the return team getting to the 30-35, right? So again, if I was Kansas City, if I was the Detroit Lions, if I was Dallas, I'm saying, yeah, let's go with this and making it permanent, because that is probably one of the things that they're going to be kind of looking into is, okay, I gained 25 yards. I'll put Harrison Butker out there. I'll take what did I say his name was? The Dallas kicker. I'll put him out there for an extra for an easy 3 points, right? Like a 55-yard field goal attempt. Yeah, we can do it because my kicker's got the leg. So that is one of them. The other thing that is possibly changing is a slight change to the onside kick. Now, we knew last year only a team trailing in the fourth quarter could attempt one, and they had to declare it. They had to declare, we're going to do an onside kick. So it takes a little bit away of the surprise aspect of an onside kick, which everybody loved like forever, pretty much, right? And I can't remember. I mean, you could probably count on one hand how many of those onside kicks last season actually were recovered by the kicking team. Probably. I'd have to look into it. I'm not entirely sure. Now, the one game you could look at too is the Super Bowl, where Kansas City was trailing basically the entire game. And you can't do an onside until the fourth quarter. You got 15 minutes to try to claw back into the game, into the Super Bowl. And I think that's the reason why this rule change is kind of coming up. It's like, well, why not just be able to, get it onside if you're trailing just in general? Why do you have to wait until the fourth quarter? Right? The Super Bowl is one of those reasons, because a lot of people were saying it was boring. Why can't Kansas City do something about this? Like, they try to get back into it. And look, a lot of this is on Kansas City. Their offense just sucked. The Philly defense was just crazy in terms of getting to Patrick Mahomes and stopping that offense. But regardless, they were calling it boring. It was really on the offense. The defense was just Rams Super Bowl from a few years ago. That was like 12-6 game or something like that. That was boring. But that game, the Super Bowl with the Eagles and the Chiefs was not, at least to me. So under this proposal for the onside kick, a team can attempt an onside kick at any point in the game as long as they're trailing. So if this proposal passes, onside kicks won't be limited to the fourth quarter, which is exactly what I think teams want. The proposal would also change the alignment requirements for the kicking team on the onside kick, which would theoretically make the kick easier to recover. So they're going to change it up to where it's a little bit more dynamic in terms of being able to recuperate the ball. If you're the kicking team and you're trailing, obviously you want that chance. And you don't have to wait till the fourth quarter now, which is great. As well as being able to do it at any point in time that you're trailing instead of waiting for the fourth quarter. And I think we got Kyle here coming in. I just need a thumbs up whenever he's ready. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, actually pretty much just guys that we have here watching us. That's kind of it. That's kind of everybody who watches us. Regardless, the biggest Denver Broncos fan. Yes, Nick, bigger than you. He is Denver Broncos culture. He is the biggest penis that a land animal has. Personally, I've seen it. It's kind of, it's scary. You can't look at it directly in the eye because you will turn to stone. But it is the biggest in history. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Kyle. Kyle, what is up, brother? Welcome.
When you say turn into stone, did you just say what I think you said? That if you stare at it,
if you look directly at that dick,
You get
will
hard.
turn into stone. You get hard as shit.
Oh, what are these rule changes?
So we're going over the rule changes right now. The biggest one, well, I mean, one of the biggest ones is touchbacks, kickoff, and onside kicks. So the one I was just
Touchbacks,
talking about now is the onside kick.
Touchback kickoffs and onside kicks. And these are proposals, or these are like the real deal?
So notable proposals from the committee. So I'll kind of go through them just real quick with you, just to kind of give you the nitty gritty of it. So the new kickoff, which was introduced last year, they're trying to make that permanent. How we see it now. The other thing about the kickoff is touchbacks would now get moved to the 35-yard line instead of at the 30. So you gain an extra 5 yards.
Okay.
And then the other part of a kick, or the kickoff would be you can have an onside kick. You can do an onside kick at any point in the game if you are trailing. So if the team's trailing in the first quarter, you can attempt an onside kick instead of waiting to the fourth quarter like they did
You have
last
to declare
year.
it.
You would have to still declare it.
Why?
And they would change the alignments to try to benefit the kicking team to be able to actually recover the ball.
The whole announcing the onside kick thing is probably the worst rule that's ever been created.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I mean, what is the whole point is maybe we can catch these guys off guard. And now we're like, we're throwing that away, which was I would say the best percentage that you have of recovering is shock and surprise.
Yeah.
It's already such a rare event.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're removing the one thing that makes something that's improbable a little more probable. You're like, no, let's get rid of that too. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Why don't we just eliminate it altogether? You might as well.
At this point, yeah, because I think that's why they're trying to change the alignment a bit, is like to give the kicking team a better chance. But at the same time, it's like the best chance is to surprise the other team. Again, I understand the safety aspect, but at what point, and it's funny because I'm taking this from one of a podcast I listened to. At one point, are we going to be able to declare, oh, this is actually a passing play? Oh, it's a running play. Oh, by the way, it's a fake run we're going to pass, just so you guys know. It's like, why do we have to declare this stuff? It takes everything away from the surprise aspect and gamesmanship, really, when we look at it, right? Because what was it? Sean Payton with the Saints had done that onside kick. Was it in the Super Bowl?
Yep.
Or something like that.
To open up the second half of the Super Bowl.
Exactly. And it's like they recovered the ball. Like, that's a ballsy move. And if it was Sean Payton that did it and he doesn't recover it, then it's looked at as a dumb move. Nobody looks at this again, probably in that light, where it's like, oh, we can't just start the second half of the Super Bowl with an onside kick. It's like, no, the surprise and the gamesmanship is what matters in this. They're going to try to change the alignment, but I still think the whole declaring shit shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, and like the year after, I mean, imagine like you're watching the Super Bowl after the 2009 Super Bowl, and you're like, well, they're not going to, after halftime, you're like, they're not going to do the onside. I mean, they just did that last year.
Yeah.
And then the year after that, it's like, I don't think they're going to do it, but everyone pay attention, and it's like, okay, now it's been like 16 years. I think it's been long enough for somebody to go ahead and try it. And it still hasn't been done. Never before and never since. I just think that's so like interesting because, I mean, the Super Bowl, we say every play matters, but in all reality, like the first drive of the Super Bowl where there was that offensive pass interference on AJ Brown on that deep ball, and we were oh my God, we're doing this again.
Yeah.
It just shows you that like you can overcome a play that doesn't go your way. Like, is it really that catastrophic to open up the game with an onside kick and lose possession, or maybe it's 7-10 and you just scored and there's 2 minutes left in the first half and you're like, fuck it. nobody does it. And it's funny. It's like, I feel like nobody does it because that's the way it's always been. It's the same way with people not being aggressive when they have a lead. And they're like, yeah, I'll just go into the half. I'll forget my timeouts. It doesn't matter. Let's just take the lead. It's like, why are we like this? You know what I mean? Like,
why are we as a society like this?
Yeah, like nobody to this point, nobody's really rised against the coaching culture. Like there's like the best practices, if you will, of what a head coach does, and nobody really stirs too far away from that.
Yeah, and it's funny that, you know, talking about that Super Bowl, it's like how you're saying, like, you can come back from a call that doesn't go your way, or in, you know, for the Eagles in this case, right, with the AJ Brown thing. Not only did they recover from that, they beat the shit out of them.
Right.
So like, we know that one call, while it can make a bit of a difference, there's plenty of game and there's plenty of impact players that can just, you know, toss that under the rug, for example, and then show you that you can win. So again, the onside kick, the whole declaring thing, kind of lame, but at least they're trying to amend it in the way where it's like, you don't have to wait till the fourth quarter, and we're going to try to change some alignment. So at least
did they ever even give us a reason on why that? Because every rule change, usually they're like, but I'm like, if anything, not declaring an onside is safer because people are caught off guard. They're in their regular kick formation. There's not really that many bodies there. If you declare an onside, everyone's loaded up, and it's like your job is to run at them and just hit people and hope one of the guys you're hitting is trying to catch the ball in that moment. I mean, an onside defense versus an onside offense kicking team, it is much more brutal that way than, oh shit, it's an onside, and there's like one guy in the area that had, you know, may have a chance to recover it. So like, I don't even see how player safety is safer by declaring. You know, I'm genuinely, I'm wondering who came up with this idea. Like what team was like, I got an idea. What if we just said we're going to do it this way? There had to have been a reason. That's what's driving me crazy. Like there had to have been, this is why. And I would think, like the Jalen Hurts tush push thing, it's like, yeah, you could make an argument that play has changed the outcome of many games. But like, how big of a difference has the onside kick really made in the past 25 years? It's like, is it really enough to be like, we need to reevaluate this play that never works? Like,
that works 10% of the time. I think it all goes back to safety, because I was literally just Googling, why did they change the onside kick rule? And there's like nothing in terms of an explanation. It just says that they changed it the fourth quarter, and if you're trailing. And I just, again, I don't get it, but I do like the kind of amendments they're trying to make, at least for me. Because now, again, if you're down 3-0 in the first quarter, you can do an onside kick. Not a surprise one, but you can do one. Just fucking, why not? You know what I mean? So I guess it's the safety thing. The kickoff again and the onsides again were a safety thing. They were causing concussions. And we all know how much the concussion issue was like a part of the NFL like world for like a decade, you know, ever since that one movie and that one guy came out. Will Smith discovered concussions.
And I'm totally for player safety. I could just make I would be interested in the counter argument. I think it is way safer to do a surprise onside by far than.
I think it's more entertaining too.
It's more entertaining. Because if you've ever been in one of those, it's terrifying as a receiving team. Because you're like, these guys, they just put all their biggest hitters on the front lines. Like, basically to just go run and hit you as hard as you can. And it's like just collision. I mean, it's super violent. And then you look at whenever they don't declare it and they catch
Mhm.
them off guard, it's like, whoa, and like there's like one guy that may get hit. I don't know how they like. What do you think? I mean, what player safety? Give me an angle here. Like, how is it safer to announce it? Because by the
Mhm.
end of the game, when you're losing and you're down 2 possessions with 2 minutes left, like they already know you're doing it. You know what I mean? The
Yeah, the
the
team knows.
yeah, it's not a secret. So the only time the declaring it is a factor is when you were going to surprise them. And
Mhm.
that's the only time where I would argue it would be less collisions.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. To me, the NFL was like, hey, let's try to make this a safer play. And at the same time, they're like, you know what? Even though it's safer, we don't really care about the repercussions in terms of surprise and entertainment, like I'm saying it is. At the end of the day, dude, I just don't get it. I don't get it. Like you, like I don't know if a surprise one is safer than a declared one. I've never been in that situation. You played high school ball. I didn't. I played park football for a year. So I didn't really experience that. But I guess for the return team, at least you can get your big guys out there too, in a sense. So you can kind of protect the ball. The hands guy. You know what I mean? That's the only way I'm kind of seeing that, in which it's like, this is how it's safer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm gonna because I see the NFL website, they have like, every rule. They're like, all right, here's the rule changes. And I see the
Mm-hmm.
2024. And of course, they had the kickoff that changed. That was a big one. Did you hear about this one today?
Which one?
The no sniff celebration is officially done. It is banned.
Oh, that was the CD Lamb one, right?
Yeah, and that one goes pretty hard. But I guess like that's how bloods tell like other bloods that somebody's not safe, is like do
Oh,
that. And
yeah,
I
because
don't
you're
know.
doing the.
I felt like nobody knew that until you guys banned the rule.
Uh,
Unless you're already in the bloods, and in that case, I'm sure this isn't offensive to you.
Yeah, it says the sign is generally used to scare off unwanted company or to keep sight of someone. It doesn't always necessarily mean murder, usually someone who's being robbed or targeted for some act of violence. I just like I I guess if you got to bust out the fucking urban dictionary to
Right.
ban something, it's like are we reaching a little too much, like the gun thing, like even the gun thing, I'm like I
The
guess they're trying
gun
to get away
thing,
from it all too.
I can at least get the gun thing just
Because
because,
NFL
like,
players have brandished guns and have gotten in trouble for brandishing guns. I mean, even in the NBA, what's his name? John Morant. Remember when he was on like an IG live and he had
yeah,
like a
at the strip
handgun?
club with his guns.
Yeah, and it's like the NBA was like, dude, stop doing that. Regardless if you like it or not, you were a role model for kids. Like regardless if you know, and he's not even about that life. So I get that aspect in the NFL. They want to not be in that situation or be in the same situation they've been with other players who have brandished guns or have had been in trouble with the law because of guns. So I get that, but like I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, the one that drove me crazy was Jerry Jeudy getting fined for the arrow.
That one is a little
was
too
like,
much too.
I was like, all right, what are we doing? Like, I could get the gun thing. Like, yes, like if somebody was, a victim of a shooting or a mass shooting,
Mhm,
and then they're watching football and they see it, maybe,
mhm.
okay, I'll ride with you on that journey. But like, how many mass like arrow, like, how do you,
Enough,
do you-
Kyle. Enough for the NFL to ban it. All right, how dare you?
like, I have never heard of that happening in my lifetime. Like, man, like pulls out bow arrow, in middle of traffic,
How many
rage dispute, just like, what are we
How m-
doing? Like, what's wrong with the bow? I mean, the bow is used for hunting, not people. Not
Kyle,
today, it's not.
Kyle, approximately 100 people die annually in the U.S. from hunting-related accidents. How dare you,
but those
sir?
are accidents.
How dare you?
Okay. Well, then I hope they don't ever do this and pretend they're driving.
or like the crossbow where they have to fit it and then crank it back and then
You know
aim.
what? Maybe they shouldn't even play football because of all the deaths from CTE.
There you go. There you go. You can't even play football in the NFL anymore because of the deaths that it causes.
It's a spiral. But yeah, I mean, the NFL, they are. I feel like they need to let some of this stuff be. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to be like the XFL and like, just be like, oh, we are lawless. Like, yeah, you can, like, I know you got a brand and a name and you got to protect your image and all of that, but like, nobody's going to think like, oh my God, the NFL should be ashamed of themselves for allowing this. The type of people that would be offended about it aren't the people that know what it means.
They're the ones that are like, what does that mean?
Right.
Those are the offended people.
Yeah, and that's the end of it. They don't look it
Yeah.
up. They probably don't even know how they would go about that. They don't even know you can just go into Google and go, what does the CD Lamb, they don't know how to use the internet that well. Like,
I would
they ask
I
their
would
grandkids. And
I would ask the NFL, would you rather want that one or Randy Moss mooning Green Bay crowd?
ask Troy Aikman.
Ask Troy. No, it wasn't Troy Aikman. It was
Was that Joe Buck?
I think it was Joe Buck. Joe Buck. That is absolutely disgraceful.
That is disgusting. I'm sorry you guys had to witness that. It's like, dude, we get it.
Dude,
All right.
It's funny. It's fine.
You I won't say it, but we get it. All right. You don't like Randy Moss. You probably don't like Deion Sanders. Whatever, dude. Calm down. It wasn't that serious.
Oh my God.
All right. So we talked about free agency, and there was I think we made it to the Kansas City Chiefs with our favorite signings for each team. We only really had like the same person one time, I think, and it was maybe which is cool because it's like keeping it fun.
And there's been a ton of signings too, so it's kind of, I mean, like, unless you're talking about, like, for example, like the Detroit Lions, who haven't really made too many, or some other teams who haven't made too many, it's like hard to kind of pick the same person. But like you said, we left off on the Chiefs, so we will go to another AFC West team, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, it's free agent signings, trade. He wasn't here on Tuesday. But for me, for the Raiders, I am going to go with keeping their edge rusher, Max Crosby. 3 years, $106.5 million for Max Crosby. For like 2 days, he was the highest paid non-quarterback, and then Myles Garrett got paid, and then Jamar Chase and T. Higgins got paid. But they keep Max Crosby. Max Crosby with the Raiders is like literally the pulse of Las Vegas Raiders Nation. Also, he's a fucking monster and an absolute gangster. So I love the signing here, or basically the extension of Max Crosby, because it keeps the edge there in Las Vegas, and he's a wrecking ball. I mean, just ask Patrick Mahomes. He's a game wrecker.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a package deal here. I'm gonna go with Pete Carroll and Geno Smith.
Oh, nice.
I think whenever you bring in a quarterback that surprisingly had success, right? Geno Smith was considered a bust in the draft, but we were like a decade removed from that. I mean, most of us didn't even remember he was in the NFL. And quite frankly, when Russell Wilson was traded, we all laughed that the quarterback competition was Drew Lock and Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Just to see Geno Smith like come out on top of it and then have a stellar season and then win comeback player of the year. And we're like, what is going on over there? Geno Smith going to another team now. He didn't have the same success he had last year, but Pete Carroll wasn't there. I think putting Geno Smith back with Pete Carroll and putting them both in a different environment automatically gives a little bit of certainty to Pete Carroll because he knows how to communicate with his quarterback, and Geno Smith knows that Pete gets the most out of him. There's trust, and look, whenever you're a team that's bringing in a new quarterback and a new coach, this is very rare that you can bring in a new coach and a new quarterback and they're old pals. It never happens.
Yeah.
So I got to give the Raiders that for getting the package deal.
And I wonder how it's going to be with like, because Pete Carroll brought in Chip Kelly as the OC. So I wonder how that's going to be. Chip Kelly was cool with the Eagles for like a year, and then it just
they had the whole like we got to snap the ball 10 seconds after the previous play.
Yeah, it was like hurry offense, and it's like, dude, that only works in college.
Yeah.
Let's stay in the AFC West here for the final team. That is the LA Chargers. We may have the same one here, but for me, I love Mekhi Becton, but the more important one is Najee Harris for me as a running back. They were basically doing a committee, running back by committee last year with Gus Edwards and who was it? J.K. Dobbins, I believe. It was basically the Ravens backfield the last 3 years, right? They brought him to the Chargers, and it was decent. You know, you get rid of Eckler, but you still have Herbert and what's his name? The wide receiver that they drafted. Oh my God. McConkey, yes. Like that was cool, but the running game was like, okay, yeah, these guys are good, but it's nothing. So Najee Harris coming from Pittsburgh ran really well there. Not necessarily after his first year, his rookie year, but he was like decent. So I think kind of going to the LA Chargers, going with like a run first approach that Jim Harbaugh brings, I think we might see Najee Harris kind of, have somewhat of a comeback player year type of thing. So I like the signing by the Chargers of Najee.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Najee Harris as well. Look,
copier.
last year we saw J.K. Dobbins come in, and then we were like, and Gus Edwards, and we're like, this is what they're doing, and they both were awesome. I mean, it was like at one point, and I was when this happened, I was so not excited because I'm a Broncos fan. But I was, I guess, so passionate about this move because I rarely see such a perfect fit. And I wanted to make sure everyone understood this. This is what I put. LA should be buzzing with excitement over Najee Harris this season. He's poised for a career year with the Chargers. The first question is, do the Chargers have a superior run blocking offense than the Steelers? All right. And according to the stats, the Chargers offensive line was ranked 13th. The Steelers were 14th. These rankings consider run and pass blocking. But if you just look at the running, the addition of Joe Alt, and then the other players, Rashawn Slater, the Chargers and Harbaugh, as soon as he got this job, he hired his entire staff because of the scheme he wanted, and then he drafted his players through the lens of that scheme. Yeah, and that scheme and who he is a run-heavy approach type of coach who emphasizes being physical. This J.K. Dobbins performance we saw last year, where he led the NFL with 9.9 yards per carry, through the first 2 weeks, averaged 121.8 rushing yards per game when active.
Oh my God.
That suggests a very strong run blocking support. And this is a guy that we didn't think was that great coming in.
Yeah.
So the key metric to consider when you're looking at run block win rate, which measures how often an offensive line sustains blocks for at least 2.5 seconds. The final figures for 2024 weren't fully detailed, or there's not a ton of context with it, but the Chargers overall ranked higher than the Steelers, which means Najee Harris is going to be in a situation where they're going to run more. The people that are blocking are going to be more successful at it. And then Jim Harbaugh is also going to get his real 3-down back, where he's not going like, okay, we got J.K. Dobbins. Najee Harris is going to be a true bell cow for the Chargers.
Yep.
He's going to have his best year statistically. He might even be the best running back next year, period.
Ooh.
This is how great of a fit this is. And just remember, anybody that thinks that sounds crazy, remember how we felt about J.K. Dobbins a year ago.
Yeah. 100%. I like that. That's a good take, though. I will say that's a really good take. Best running back, because, I mean, if the stats show it, then he should have success. Now, moving on, staying in the West Coast, but moving on to the LA Rams this time. They got rid of Cooper Kupp, but to me, the most obvious one, other than keeping Stafford, right, and reconstructing his restructuring his contract, bringing in Davante Adams. It's a 2-year deal, $46 million for the 2 years. And Davante last year, even with Aaron Rodgers, it was like, okay, it's not really there anymore with the Jets and with Rodgers. Just that whole New York Jets thing was crazy. The whole reveal on Pat McAfee, all for just to fall flat, is hilarious in itself. But bringing him in with Matthew Stafford and with Sean McVay, I think is a really good move, because yes, you get rid of Cooper Kupp, but you bring in Davante Adams, who's had much more success, I think, overall in a career than Cooper Kupp. And you still got Puka Nacua, who's going to play for another 6-7 years. He said he wants to retire by 30. This is just a good move, and it shows that the Rams are still very much in it. Obviously, they were in the playoffs last couple of years when we really thought that it was like, all right, this is gonna be down years for them. They're still very much in it with the addition of Davante Adams.
I'm going to go with Coleman Shelton.
Boo.
Who
dog shit.
He had a career year with the Bears in 2024. And
yeah, right.
He had a career year. That is true. I mean, I'm not saying it was great. I'm saying it was his best career year.
That's insane.
Now, they leaned on Limmer last year in place. But he had, typical first-year growing pains. He was 38th out of 43 qualifying centers. Shelton, meanwhile, has improved each year in his PFF score, going from a 58 grade in 2022 to a 66 grade mark last season. And really, this is more about the Chargers and Limmer, the rookie they leaned on last year, being atrocious. And I know you don't feel like it, but they upgraded because Limmer was almost the worst center out of 43 last year. And you could see it with how much Matthew Stafford was on his ass. 2-year, $12 million deal.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know he had a career year with the Bears. I think that's because he started all 17 games or something like that. I mean, he was with the Rams too before that since 2019. And the whole reason the Bears picked him up was because he had success in LA. And we're like, oh, okay, sweet. We're gonna have, a guy who's had success in the Sean McVay and that offense, and then it just went to shit. Regardless, career year, okay. But he was one of the worst linemen for me. Let's move on to the East Coast now. We're going to start off in the AFC East, the Miami Dolphins. For me, the best signing that they had was actually an old Bear as well, and that's James Daniels, offensive lineman, 3-year, $24 million, $8 million a year. a lot of people are saying that's a little bit on the high end for James Daniels. He was with the Steelers, I believe, last season.
Did you say
And-
4 years?
No, 3 year, 24
Okay,
million.
okay.
Yeah. So $8 million a year. James Daniels was someone that when the Bears got rid of him, I was like, that's fine. Let's kind of retool with Ryan Pace. That's exactly what we were doing. And he was decent on the Steelers. And I think one of the reasons that the Dolphins picked him up, which, the Dolphins didn't have a very good run game, is James Daniels is good in the run. I mean, you just talked about the Steelers offensive line being 14th combined in terms of running and pass protection. So bringing in a guy like James Daniels, I think he's like 30, maybe not even 30. It's going to help them in the run game, whoever it is that their running back's going to be in Miami.
Yeah, I won't bore you. I got James Daniels as well, coming off an Achilles tear. But this is good because the Dolphins' offensive line it's been bad, and they were going to continue to struggle unless they heavily attack this unit in the draft. But James Daniels, kind of the type of high upside offensive lineman that the team needed in free agency. And they also needed to build through the draft. But this guy's got a solid body of work. I agree with you.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the NFC North and the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings bringing on a center, Ryan Kelly. I think this is a good move. 4-time Pro Bowler, 2 years, $18 million. Kyle and I are starting to get the same guys now. But 2 years, 18 mil, 4-time Pro Bowler center. Their center, I forget where they went, but I think he went to New England. That's who it was. But they bring on a center, someone that they needed on top of a bunch of other good signings that the Minnesota Vikings have made, by the way. So good for them, but also fuck them. But I like the center position. It's a hole they needed to plug, and they did it through free agency. Kyle, get a little freaky over here.
I'm personally going right now, no brainer, Byron Murphy.
Okay, yeah.
3 year, $66 million deal. He was key last year. Brian Flores had the 6th ranked scoring defense, which was, 73.5 PFF pass grade coverage. For a team that gave up a ton of yards, this dude was kind of holding his end of the field down. He had 6 interceptions. I think we talked about him earlier in the free agency period when we were, I think it was between him and Reed, and I was saying why it's so important for the Vikings to re-sign him. It was one of my biggest priority guys for a team if they want to stay on their trajectory. This guy needed to be re-signed, and 3 years, $66 million. He was definitely valued by the Vikings. They just needed to get the number right. And I'm not sure if anybody else was going to pay him and the Vikings matched it or what, but the Vikings keeping him, it's going to keep their defense with Brian Flores being one of the, I'll say at least guarantees top 12 status.
Yeah. And for a good cornerback too, another team probably would have paid him. A cornerback hungry team would have paid him.
Oh yeah.
All right. New England Patriots. I'm going to give you the guy that I had prior to Stephon Diggs signing with them. And that's going to be defensive tackle Milton Williams. 4 years, $104 million contract. He was on the Eagles last year.
That's right.
Yeah. And he had a really good year. The Eagles are losing everyone, but I still think they're going to be good. But regardless, the Patriots had given up Judon to the Falcons, I think through via trade before the season started. So they gave away their aging guy, but they still needed to bring on somebody that was going to stop the run and really anchor that defensive line. And Milton Williams is that guy. Last year, 5 sacks, 10 quarterback hits. He sacked Patrick Mahomes twice amongst the 300 or so sacks that they sacked him in the Super Bowl. So for me, for the Patriots, Milton Williams, defensive tackle, great signing.
I'm going to go with Morgan Moses, tackle. with the most cap space in the NFL, the Patriots were going to go predictably on a spending spree. Now we're seeing the Diggs thing come into play. And then, you named Morgan Moses, or not Morgan Moses, Milton. But I think Moses, he's going to be on his third team in 4 years, but he's produced on every single team. He had a career high PFF grade with the Ravens in 2023, a career low number of sacks allowed with the Jets last year. Part of that's probably Aaron Rodgers getting rid of the ball quick and not wanting to take sacks.
Yep.
We have to keep that into consideration. But for a young quarterback in Drake May and a guy that's coming in for 3 years for $24 million, I think that's a good deal.
Like it. All right, moving on to the Saints, who apparently the Saints, the cap doesn't matter to them. They're just going to keep being in the negative, but they're able to sign and extend players. For me, they retained the player that I think is going to be crucial to their offense moving forward, and that's tight end Juwan Johnson. 3-year, $30.75 million. Kyle's putting on the pimp suit. I like it.
Cold in here.
I like it.
Wow,
yeah, right.
nice.
What do you mean?
This was in my donation pile. I might keep this.
You got to keep it for all of our dress up streams. But Juwan Johnson for the Saints, I think is going to be crucial moving forward. He's going into his 6th season in the NFL next year. Last year, career best in receptions, yards, not touchdowns. Weirdly enough, it wasn't touchdowns. He only had 3 touchdowns last year, and he did play at least in all 17 games. But Juwan Johnson for 3 years, kind of a cheaper deal for a tight end. And, he's been productive. There wasn't, in my opinion, anybody more important for them to retain, but I will go to you. I'm thinking Juwan Johnson, though.
I got to go with 36-year-old Brandon Cooks.
Let's go.
I mean, weirdly enough, he's the same age as Stefon Diggs.
Wow.
I don't know. But he is.
Wow.
He's 31 years old. Him and Amari Cooper have been playing football since I was 12. I'm going to be 31 in a couple months. But Brandon Cooks, 3 years removed from a 1,000-yard season. He missed a significant chunk of last year with a knee infection. But the Saints desperately needed a wide receiver too. It almost feels like Brandon Cooks has been with the Saints. Like it makes sense. Like, yeah, Brandon Cooks with the Saints, like it reminds me of Michael Thomas, or being with the Saints. And he's still on the team. Yeah.
Why he got drafted by him?
He did.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. I'm like, this just feels right.
It feels familiar, right? Yeah.
It feels so familiar. That would make a lot of sense. But beginning his career with the Saints, he had 2 1,000-yard seasons. But maybe he can bring some of that magic back on his second go around. But for sure, with Chris Olave needing some help, I think it at least gives you an option for a legit wide receiver number 2. He's only 31. He's the same age as Diggs. So if we think Diggs can do it, maybe Brandon Cooks can.
Okay, I like it.
He won't.
He won't do it. All right, moving on to the Giants for Bill. Bill.
Yep.
We're talking about your Giants now. The signing I really like was someone that I had mistaken for a defensive end when we were going over the free agents.
That's who I got.
Javon Holland.
Yep, me too. Sorry.
Javon Holland, safety. Yeah, sorry, I cut off there.
I got you.
Safety Javon Holland, 3 years, $45 million deal, $30 million guaranteed. He was the 9th ranked free agent on Pete Prisco's top 100 free agents, which Pete Prisco doesn't really matter what he says, but he's only 25 years old. Like only 25 years old. So I'm liking that that the Giants got him because they did have McKinney too. And I think he's on the Packers now. So you bring in Javon Holland, again, very, very young guy. He's already been in the league for 4 years, 3-4 years, whatever. And you're trying to shore up that secondary. Giants, Javon Holland.
Yeah, it's very rare that a guy like this is available because the team that drafts him, he's always going to get that second contract with the team unless A, they're in cap hell and they just can't, or B, he wasn't good. And in this case, Javon Holland, one of the better safeties in the NFL last year. And I'm really wondering what the plan is because they also got rid of their other safety who came to Denver last year and filled in for Justin Simmons, and he had a great year with us. So they've gotten rid of two good, I'll say good and pretty good safeties in 2 years. And it's just because of money. And, it's Tyreek Hill getting offended about who was it that got paid? And he's like, I think
it was Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, he's like, they know how it made me feel. And then a day later, they paid him again. And last year, he was invisible. And then demanded a trade and then didn't. It was weird. But this is the downside, is guys like this walk away. And for the Giants who just let Xavier McKinney go and watched him ball out all season. I mean, he had the most picks for a large portion of the season. I think he had 5 in the first 4 weeks or something.
He was on a ridiculous roll.
He was on a tear, and I think the Giants sat back and went, damn, we really effed up by not paying this guy. And fate would have it.
Second player of that year.
Yeah, and then now the Giants are able to make up for it with this signing.
And we got Richard in the chat. He says, love you guys. Thanks for making work bearable. Richard, of course, I'm glad you're here. I haven't seen you in a while, but also I've been gone for a while, so glad to see you. All right.
Very true. He's been here.
What's that? Oh, okay.
He's been here. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not his fault.
It's not you, Richard. It's me.
I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. I've also been in the Dominican Republic on the beach, but I'm just saying I haven't seen you. I don't know what it means.
But what the fuck, Richard? That's kind of a dick move. No, let's move on to the other New York team, and that is the Jets. For me, this is pretty easy. Former Bear, former Pittsburgh Steeler, quarterback Justin Fields on a 2-year, $40 million deal. They're moving on from Aaron Rodgers, and it was pretty obvious after the kind of season that he had, and basically the Woody Johnson being like, "Oh, you want Devontae Adams? Cool, we'll bring him in. Oh, you want Lazard again? Okay, we'll bring." It was just like, all right, we spent all this money and we had 6 wins or whatever the fuck they had. But I like the addition of Justin Fields. He's got legs, he's got speed, he's got to work. He's got an arm. He's just got to work on the passing game a little bit more, but he reunites with Garrett Wilson from Ohio State when he was a quarterback and he was a receiver there. So that's a good matchup I like there. So Jets quarterback Justin Fields.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Isaiah Oliver. And I would have went with Fields, but you did. So I'll go with that. I think that's their highest upside signing or re-signing. Is going to be him. He was in the slot all of last season. He provides really good depth in a pretty crowded cornerback room. It's funny how that happens. When it rains, it pours. When you can't find a cornerback, you can't find one. And when you have a good one, you have a bunch of them. And I always say that that's not a coincidence. It's like Tom Brady's quarterback room was loaded with talent.
Yeah.
I guess you get around winners and you start becoming a winner. But this is another guy that gives them that depth if an injury does come up. And it's a 1-year deal. The money hasn't been released yet, but I think it's a good signing.
Moving on to the Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to go with the guy we talked about pretty much all throughout the season, I feel like, because he made such a big impact. And that's linebacker Zach Bond. They're retaining him. They're paying him $51 million over 3 years. We saw the impact he made on the Eagles in the Super Bowl all throughout the season. And the fact that they had picked him up on a 1-year kind of prove it deal in a sense. and what he showed out for them, he 100% deserves his contract. Yeah, I'm going Zach Bond for the Eagles.
I figured I'm donating that jacket because it's itchy.
Kyle's like, I don't want to be itchy. I want someone else to be itchy.
Like, why is my arm itchy now? I'm gonna go with Josh Ook.
Uche.
I was just kidding. I wanted to make sure that you knew Day. I'm
gone. See you guys.
I'm gonna haze myself. He is a 1.92 per year guy on a 1-year deal. So I don't know why I said it that way, but he established himself as one of the better edge rushers. 56 quarterback pressures, tied for 20th, 12 sacks. Philly just won a Super Bowl, and you're not going to be able to keep everybody, but part of being a good team is not just having guys that are top 10 in the league in every metric, but guys that are top 20, guys that are 17th and 12th. He was 12 sacks, tied for 12th. Pressures, 20th. Those are the kind of guys that you want to keep on your team, because you also don't know if he's done growing. And this is somebody for $1.92 million that he probably was like, you know what? I'm going to stay here because I think we can repeat and I want to be a part of it. Got a little discount. Great move by the Eagles, and there's a ton of them we could have gone with. The Eagles just do it better than anybody.
All right, we're going to go with the other Pennsylvania team, Steelers, up next. And I'm going to go with the guy they traded for, DK Metcalf. They then agreed on a 5-year, $150 million contract.
Wow.
You bring in another guy with George Pickens. You bring in solid number 1, number 2 receivers. In my opinion, like, you have 2 number 1s with those 2 guys. The other thing is you got 2 big ass headaches and 2 guys that will absolutely take over a game in the worst sense possible, meaning they'll make it all about themselves in a way where they'll get in a fight, they'll get kicked out, they'll take something a little too personal, blah, blah, blah. What Tomlin is going to have to do, and he's been doing this for years, is just figure out how to keep these guys kind of just focused on winning football games.
He has? What have I been watching?
At least trying to, instead of just trading them away. But he's just got a lot, and they don't have a quarterback yet. Probably going to be Aaron Rodgers. And if it is, I don't know. I would you want an Aaron Rodgers who's also kind of like,
fuck yes,
not a head case himself, but he's very much like about himself, you know.
Bring him in. Fuck it.
Let him do it with George Pickens and DK. Let's see how that goes. But
Let's see how it goes. I'm just saying, it's not uncommon to have a player who ruptures an Achilles complete tear look bad the next year. I mean, Kirk Cousins had the same injury and he looked awful. I don't think Kirk Cousins fell off a cliff. I don't. And then also, Saquon Barkley had the same injury when he was 23. He had a bad season. It's the second year. Look, if he's bad after this year, we'll just shut up about this whole thing. But I feel like for a team that has no quarterback and there's no draft guy that is a valuable option, I think getting Aaron Rodgers is the clear, obvious move here. And if he sucks, then he sucks. But nobody is going to fault you for going with Kirk Cousins. Just don't go with Kenny Pickett. Don't go with, at least go with somebody that at one point was an MVP quarterback and lean on that. Don't lean on another terrible quarterback.
Funny thing is they brought back Mason Rudolph too on 2 years.
Of course. Of course. They should have signed Myles Garrett. It got real weird. Like, you guys, and put their lockers next to him. They're like, you guys need to learn how to love each other.
Yeah, as they're changing, Tomlin comes by. Hey, remember when he hit you with a helmet? That was wild. All right, see you guys later.
You can still feel the. Okay, I'm gonna go with Kenneth Gainwell. It's a 1-year deal for $1.79 million. Gainwell upside's kind of limited due to his workload over the past 4 seasons, but I think the Steelers are going to use him as a true RB2 now that they're going to Jalen Warren's going to be that guy now for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to have Kenneth Gainwell take over that RB2 role. And I think losing Najee Harris, this was something that needed to happen. The draft, big running back draft. So we'll see what they do there. But for now, Kenneth Gainwell gives them a little bit of security with the RB2.
All right, moving on to the 49ers. For me, they retained someone who was, I don't know, pretty damn important when injuries kind of, started to mount, and that's Jordan Mason, the running back. They gave him a second-round restricted free agent tender. I don't know really the details. I'm just kind of going off what was put on NFL.com, but keeping him and what he was able to do last year after McCaffrey went down was awesome. And if you can keep a guy like that on the cheap, which I'm assuming what the tender is, and he was able to produce the way he produced, that's pretty awesome for the 49ers.
Yeah, I don't know if it's possible to lose the offseason, but the 49ers are coming close to it. And I said that the 49ers were maybe a top 12 team, and they were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, they are. I mean, Deebo Samuel's with the Commanders. They lose their two best defensive players to the Broncos. I mean, it's just there's so much uncertainty around the team. So I'm going to go with Demarcus Robinson, a 2-year, $8 million deal. He's not going to take over the role that Deebo did, but he will provide some stability for the team as far as pass catching goes. And he stays in the division. He knows the 49ers. He's played them twice a year for some time. It's his fourth team in 5 years, so he's bounced around a little bit. But I think he can be a capable wide receiver number 3 for Brock Purdy.
All right, staying in the NFC West, the Seattle Seahawks. This one is pretty easy for me, and that's quarterback Sam Darnold. 3 years, $100.5 million. They ship Geno. They bring in a younger guy who just had a spectacular season with the Vikings. Minus those last 2 games. But other than that, they bring him in, and you kind of look up and down into what the Seattle Seahawks have done this offseason, and you're like, they might be the front runner for the West. But regardless, they still got the Rams, and we'll see what the 49ers are able to do. But I like quarterback Sam Darnold with the Seahawks.
I do too. And I'll go with DeMarcus Lawrence. Weird exit in Dallas and very, very strange. But I think when you look at the lack of edge talent on the Seahawks, I mean, no edge rusher from 2021 to 2023 graded positively on a higher percentage of run snaps than Lawrence for the Seahawks. So they really haven't had somebody this good on the team in almost half a decade. This has been something that's just been lacking severely for some time. And I think DeMarcus Lawrence is going to want to have a really good season with the way he left Dallas. And I think this is a great fit with Mike McDonald, the defensive-minded head coach. He might have one of his best years.
Moving on to Tampa Bay, they retained a wide receiver named Chris Godwin. 3 years, $66 million. Can be up to $72 million with incentives and such. Obviously, he got injured for the rest of the year. Week 7, middle of the year, whatever it was. But he was leading the NFL before that in catches with 50. And that was with Mike Evans as their wide receiver 1. Now, obviously, they had both gotten injured and Mike Evans did come back. But keeping Godwin, especially with Baker Mayfield, was a great move. And Godwin took less money to stay with Baker Mayfield. So that just shows how strong that connection is with Baker. And they've been division champions for 5 years in a row now. So why not keep that going and see if maybe this year you're healthier, Mike Evans stays healthy, and you can actually, maybe win a game in the playoffs too. That would be fucking sick.
I'm going to go with Hassan Reddick. The past year, kind of a blur with his trade to New York, to the lengthy holdout, but he's still 30 years old. He has the talent to be a force of nature. the Bucks are pretty much banking on who he's been his whole career. I think he instantly becomes Tampa's most feared edge rusher for this season coming up, bringing 4 straight seasons of double-digit sacks. And he was also the 12th ranked pass rush grade from 2020 to 2023. This is somebody that 1 year of bad football or no football, we forget. Hassan Reddick is a major issue, and we're going to take him to a defensive-minded head coach with a team that's competing to go to the Super Bowl.
I like it. Real quick, we got Ginger in the chat. What's up, Ginger?
Ginger!
Thanks for being here. All right, we're moving on to the Tennessee Titans. Shit, Kyle's about to spit. The Tennessee Titans. Oh no, he's just mimicking sucking a penis.
Ginger now.
Yeah, suck that penis.
His name Ginger.
Penis.
I thought you were actually going in, and then I stopped, and I just heard penis.
Yeah, it's because you were like, nom, 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 nom. Dude, Kyle's gay, guys.
You made it. I didn't even. All right,
the Tennessee Titans. Let's move on. For me, the addition that they made, which is a little bit weird because he hasn't been great. He was not great last year. But I got to go with them because they're upgrading the line for Levis or whoever's quarterback it's going to be. Dan Moore Jr. gave him a 4-year, $82 million deal to be a left tackle, which is why they drafted J.C. Latham last year. So it's a little puzzling what the Titans are doing, but you never know. New team. You might be a little bit better. J.C. Latham played right tackle, so they might keep him at right tackle now. Either way, you are showing that you're trying to upgrade the line for whichever quarterback it is you're going to go with. I like the move, and they brought in another offensive lineman, but hopefully he can step it up in Tennessee. They've got the best offensive line coach in Tennessee too, so they're hoping that he can bring him up and improve him too.
And that's why the best offensive line coach, that's why they brought in Kevin Zeitler.
Yep.
I got to go with Zeitler because it's really an underrated signing, right? He's earned a sub 70 overall pass blocking grade only once in 13 seasons. He's never played fewer than 799 snaps. So what we're really getting here, reliability and high-level play from a 35-year-old for only $9 million. This was somebody that, of course, the best offensive line coach in the NFL knew he had to have on his team. This is such a great move by the Titans.
Yep. All right, final team. They made it all the way to the NFC Championship last year with a rookie quarterback. We're going Washington Commanders, and they made a lot of really good, a couple good trades, some good signings, and they retained a lot of their guys. But the one I think is obvious for me is bringing in Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel on a trade, from the 49ers, awesome, because you pair him up with Scary Terry, and really everyone outside of Scary Terry was just kind of like, okay, we can get it to Zacchaeus. We can get it to I'm forgetting the rookie wide receiver they had. Regardless, like we can get it to these guys.
Christian
and you had Ertz,
McCaffrey's brother.
He was more of a returner. I don't think he really was involved in the offensive game plan.
Another guy there.
I can't remember his name, but I think he was a rookie. Regardless, Zacchaeus is now with the Bears. You kept Zach Ertz, so you bring in you keep the security blanket, but Deebo Samuel opens up, I think, the offense for Jaden Daniels, Scary Terry, their running backs. I think it's going to be a very scary offense, really, moving forward into next year. So for me, it's Deebo Samuel's on a trade with the 49ers for the Commanders.
I'm going to go with Bobby Wags, who's making a real case that he's maybe a top 7 linebacker ever. Like he missed just 5.7% of his tackle attempts, which was the 5th best rate among linebackers. So He was tied for second in run stops. So anybody that's like, oh, he's old and no. Bobby Wagner's still playing at one of the highest levels at the position in the NFL. He's a leader of the defense, a defense that's on the rise, one that could be the difference in a potential Super Bowl run. And this is another $1 million, 1 year, $9 million deal. A steal. The fact that you're able to get away with these kind of contracts for somebody that's giving you the production that he's giving you, you got to give the nod to Bobby Wagner here, just because you went with Deebo Samuel.
Just because
it is a great signing too. Bobby Wagner's really thriving with Dan Quinn.
Yeah, and that was that the Rams had signed him too for like a 3-year deal and then let him go after a year, and he still had a pretty good season with the Rams. And then he comes to the Commanders and you're like, oh shit, he's still very much in like the Bobby Wagner realm of like being productive, racking up tackles, stopping the run. So I think it was a good retention on them for the Commanders. And like I said, like they're keeping a lot of their same guys from last year, most notably Marcus Mariota. No, I'm just kidding. But they're keeping a lot of their same guys. So it's going to be the same team next year.
Dude.
Good for them.
He came in and played really good that one game. That was weird. He threw like 4 touchdown passes in like 3 quarters.
Oh yeah, 100%. He was amazing.
No, I'm serious. Go look at the tape. He came in for one game and he balled out, and then we never saw him again.
And then he made that one. And then he made that one really bad pitch.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was so funny. Okay, well, that kind of wraps up our free agency talk. I'm going to get out of here. Kyle, I don't know if you're going to do a chives or if you want to do a chives, but I got to get out of here. I'm going to go get some stuff done, go meet up with some friends and party it up. But I'm going to let Kyle wrap it up for you guys in the sense that we're done with things. So I'll see you guys later, but I think it's time for the motherfucking.
Welcome to the Chives with Kyle. I'm doing my chives today for Jinja's Colts. Colts general manager Chris Ballard sees a lot of similarities in skill sets of Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. What in the world does Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson have in common? I mean, not a trick question. Like, what are you talking about, dude? You're the general manager of a football team and you say that? I mean, that is crazy. So I'm going to let you hear what he said on Behind the Colts 2025 free agency produced by the team's official website. The general manager, Chris Ballard, said the club targeted the former New York Giant quarterback because he brings a similar skill set to the position. And I quote, between Daniel and Anthony, you're going to see a really good competition. It's going to be a spirited competition, but I also think it's going to be one where they help each other grow too. And so we thought Daniel's skill set and Anthony's skill set, there's a lot of similarities there. So offensively, I think that's going to help us with this staff. Okay, what are they? He keeps saying that there's a lot of similarities. He has yet to mention what they are. I'll keep the quote going. So offensively, I think that's going to help our offensive staff. So, okay, we don't have to make these wholesale changes with one guy or the other. All right. He also said competition brings out the best of anybody. It's a competitive league. We're not just bringing in anybody. It had to be somebody that's really going to be able to challenge Anthony. And I think that's going to go both ways. Anthony will also challenge Daniel too. Okay, although all of that stuff, I guess sounds good. It's something that the last part's true. Yeah, they're going to push each other because they're both going to want to earn the starting job. But I see no similarities between these two players. Daniel Jones took off running down the field and tripped over his own feet. Anthony Richardson ran over a linebacker to get in the end zone one week. I mean, One of them looks like a methed out kid that hasn't eaten in months. The other guy is a physical specimen that was one of the freakiest athletes we've ever seen in combine history. They couldn't be more different. The general manager is a complete moron for saying that. I just gotta throw that out there. But all in all, I think Anthony Richardson may be able to hold down the job if he's taking a leap. It's going to be interesting because now you bring in Daniel Jones, and it's weird because Brian Daboll's supposed to be a good quarterback coach. So it's not like he hasn't had a good quarterback coach, but I feel like Steichens had his hands tied behind his back with Richardson. There's just so much in the game plan he can't do, trying to cater to somebody so limited in their abilities as a passer. And now you bring in Daniel Jones, and I think the opposite is true, where it's complicated because it's not like you can game plan for one quarterback and let's say he gets hurt and you're just like, yeah, we're going to roll with the same game plan that we would have done for Daniel Jones, but it's going to be Anthony Richardson. That's not the case. Like, these are entirely different game plans. Anything that they tell you is a lie if they tell you that it's not. Anthony Richardson's like his own game plan. That's the level of his career he's at right now, where the game plan is so uniquely fit to him. I don't see Daniel Jones just stepping in and it's like, yeah, we've kind of uniformed our game plan, so it doesn't matter who goes in. That's just not the case. So I don't know why he said that. I don't know enough about your guys' GM, but I just had to call it out because I thought that was such a weird thing to say from a general manager. A lot of similarities in Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. I thought I was just needing my cup of coffee when I read that, but no, he said what he said, and it is pretty wild. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is what we got for you today. Next time you see me, I'll have the same background, but I'll be in a different spot because I'm moving. So I just want to let everybody know that in case it maybe looks a little bit different, but I'm going to try to keep it, the main background, continue that as much as I can. But yeah, I'm super excited. So I will be seeing you guys. Please like the stream on your way out. If you haven't, you can follow me at NFL with Kyle, and you can follow Rick at And Now Rick. Once again, we dedicate this podcast to you guys, our fans, and our biggest supporters. And that goes for Bill. May this podcast and everyone be dedicated to Bill. I love you guys. I will see you on the flip side. Later.